We are back on Morning Mover. Snowflake in focus today. Its results due after the bell. Cloud company reporting earnings later today. Analysts are expecting a loss of 59 cents a share for the quarter on an adjusted basis, with revenue expected to come in right at $1 billion. Shares are up more than 15% so far in 2025. Just 5% off of February's 3-year high. Time now for Options Corner. Joining us to take a deeper look at Snowflake, we've got Rick Ducat, lead market technician. So, Rick, take us through the trends that you're noticing when it comes to the chart for Snowflake.
It was a difficult period in the first half of this past year, with Snowflake largely underperforming both its own sector and the broader market. But now it's pretty much in line. Everything's fairly close to each other. Snowflake slightly above the S&P, up about 12.4% on the year. Notice very tightly correlated lately as well with the broader market. You can see Snow versus SPX here, 20-day correlation. Now, to consider the recent price action from the perspective of a more conventional chart here, we can see that we've had a low point here. Like many other stocks, we had a relative low point on the tariff news. From there, though, we broke above our downward sloping trend line that began with those previous highs near 194.40. That was our 52-week high. From there, we've also crossed above our moving averages and a couple of horizontal levels that stood out. First, we had 164, a low close, then a high resistance area, and then that was where we bottomed out after a recent gap to the upside. Beyond that, our dark green line here, 176, that also is another set of highs roughly before we had a further gap up. Today, though, as we head into earnings, possibly looking to move a little bit beyond this upward sloping trend line here. RSI also rather curiously still overbought, but flattening out here. So an interesting setup as we head into earnings.
Okay, interesting setup as we head into earnings. So then what's the approach for structuring an example trade, especially given the earnings in front of us? And I know you mentioned the correlation in terms of the pattern, but it is outperforming the S&P 500 year to date.
Yeah, so for an example trade idea, we've got our highs near 195. There's large open interest at the June expiration near that 200 level. So one example trade might be to consider a call butterfly. +1, June 20th, 185. 195, 200 strike call butterfly at a net 230 debit. So we're buying the 185, selling 2 of the 195, and then buying 1 of the 200s here. So it gives you this shape where your max loss, your risk definition is the debit paid, $2.30, $230. Then we have this large spike. That's at our short strike. That's our max profit area, 770. So that lines up roughly with our top, our high and our heavy open interest area. But if it does happen to exceed that level here, we have this flat part then where this trade would just keep the credit. It's about, I believe, $270 or so here for anything above that 200 level.
Okay, all right. That's a call butterfly example trade there for Snowflake. Earnings due after the bell today. Thank you, Rick. That's our Rick Ducat, lead market technician here on Schwab Network.